Okay, if everybody could sit down, we'll try and get started here.
Set up the sound.
If we can convince people to maybe come as close as possible. It's a little harder to see folks in the back, and it's also warmer in the front, so you may calm down a little bit. My name is Hunt Brawley. I'm the development director of the Hippodrome Colony Historical Theater Association, and it's certainly very exciting to be here today to come in with a very important announcement. Before we get started, I just wanted to make people aware that there are press kits available, so the press that's here will have a lot of information in the back. You can also talk to our board members after the session here. I did want to introduce our board members and then some of the public officials that are here. I have a little trouble seeing some folks, but for our board members that are in the audience, the ones that I can see are sitting in front: Jeff Coward, Dan Harrison, I think Terry Miller is here, Ken Morrison, if you can raise your hands, Matt Evans is back there. Who else? That's associated with the Colony Theater. A little tough. Bill Haas. And anybody else when it gets it? Also wanted to acknowledge some of the officials that are here today. I did see Andy Coleman, the City Development Director that we've worked with in the past, standing up there. I saw a couple members of council. Walt Brothers I saw. I don't know if there's anybody else out there. I did see County Commissioner Tim Irvine. And I think David White was here as well.
Ron Feathers.
Thank you all for stepping in for such a great day. I'm obviously very pleased to be standing here today for this very important announcement. It's really kind of exciting to be here. What you see around you is obviously the stripped out version of the Colony Theater, built as the Hippodrome in 1919. It was actually built by the C&M Amusement Company, Cambridge and Marietta, a local amusement company that developed this theater. Theater opened 1919 with Daddy Longlegs, silent movie starring Mary Pickford. Although it doesn't look like a whole lot now, you can actually start to see why we think this is such a wonderful facility. There's some amazing things about this theater. You're all sitting down front. There are really no obstructed sight lines. This is essentially a modern construction building, steel, concrete. There are no posts to obstruct the sight lines. It was really built as a Broadway house for the largest touring shows of the day. All the seats are tight to the stage. Sight lines are great. Of course, it was built before amplification, so acoustically it's quite nice. What you see behind me is the original Fire Curtain mural. We had recently restored that. The Evergreen Company out of New York, Chicago, restored the curtain. There was actually water damage. It was ripped. We had to repair it, seal it so that it's a functional piece. It's really the only decorative piece that still remains here in the theater, and I think you can get a little feel for what the rest of the theater is going to look like, because the color scheme and the decorative motifs are going to come out in the rest of the theater. So a lot of the cross-hatching and the colors would be replicated in between the trim pieces and up along the ceiling. Really a fabulous facility. The mural was actually painted by Twin Cities Scenic Company, a company out of Minneapolis. At the time, they'd probably done about 80% of the fire curtains across the country and did a majority of the Ringling Brothers drops at the time as well. Although you can't see it behind you, the stage is 35 by 55 feet, which really gives us an advantage in programming, allows us to pull in just about any show. It's actually large enough for a symphony orchestra, and I think one of the things we talk about is hosting the River City Symphony Orchestra. I think Mac Lichterman is in the audience, and we're really excited to be that home. Acoustically, the floor is maple and pine, an awesome surface. Actually acts as a bit of a soundboard for a symphony. Again, a great acoustic feature. And the fly loft, again, that you can't see, it's modern construction. It's steel and will essentially support a modern rigging system that would be required of touring shows today. We even have plans for rolled curb, and the loading in and out of the back makes this a great road house as well. Traveling shows can load things in and out very easily. Again, makes it a great destination for traveling shows. I like to point out to folks that this theater was built in a time that does make it ideal for live performances. Had it been built prior to 1900, it may have been a wood construction facility, very difficult to rig with the old wood style construction. We might have had posts. Again, restoring a facility like that probably would have cost a lot more if facilities like that existed at all, because they're wood, they often rot, the structure isn't sound. We'd have to do a lot of these things. Had it been built after the late 20s, it probably would have been a movie palace. It might have been a very, very wonderful auditorium, but the stage would have been dropped to about 10 feet. You would have had to build the stage from scratch. So again, we get the benefit of a really wonderful stage. We look at this facility as an incredible restoration project because the bricks and mortar that you see here are probably worth about $9 million. We've had insurance adjusters come in. Replacing this theater from scratch would probably be $15–16 million. So even though we will probably end up spending about $7 million for the full restoration work, we're actually getting a $15 million facility for this community for $7 million, which again points to the wonderful nature of restoration projects and why this is so important in this community. It's especially exciting to say in front of this crowd that the colony will certainly serve as an economic catalyst, not just for downtown Marietta, but of course the 10 to 12 county region around Marietta. We are located in a very critical block between Front Street and the Marietta College campus. We really see this as an important piece in kind of pulling that energy off Front Street into Marietta College. Very pleased to see Dr. Joe Bruno here from Marietta College. We've already had a number of discussions about collaborative works with the college, theater department, music department, speaking engagements. There are any number of things, internships that we've been talking about, and that we really look forward to doing. Of course, the facility is basically a block off campus, may as well be part of the campus, and we're really looking forward to any number of creative collaborations we can do with Marietta College. We have conducted, and I'll do my best Marco Rubio here, I'm sorry. We have conducted numerous studies about the economic impact of the theater. Construction of $5.5 million going forward would create 60 new jobs and additional economic impact of $1.2 million. With the goal of 110 events a year, the annual spending in addition to the ticket sales would be about $1.5 million. This is money that will be spent in bars, restaurants, hotels, shops, and will have a direct benefit to the local merchants. In its prime, the College stage was graced by some of America's most famous entertainers, politicians, and other celebrities. Among its guests were Boris Karloff, Frank Sinatra, Jimmy Stewart, Judy Garland, and many others. It's our hope to have many similar entertainers here in the future. When completed, the Colony will be a unique facility in the 10 to 12 county region with the resources to provide a wide variety of programming. As I mentioned, it is a home for the River City Symphony Orchestra, to be a regular performance venue for groups such as the Ohio Valley Opry, and Dean and Marvin Clark are sitting here in the front row. wonderful program up in Connellsville. Marietta Jazz, Blues, and Folk Society, many of the local dance companies, Washington State University, Washington State Community College could even take advantage of the stage. And many of the other local arts groups that are looking for performance space. It will be great to work with local institutions, but the size of the stage and the capacity of 1,000 seats is really what makes this facility appropriate for larger national touring acts. These shows will add significantly to Marietta's historic charm and small town appeal, and even acts such as Brad Paisley or Dave Chappelle will be possible here. And I have to mention that Brad Paisley and Dave Chappelle were not my suggestions. When I wrote this, I actually had Bill Cosby and Crosby Nash. But I think the publicity people thought that I was kind of old and outdated and I was out of touch. And so they suggested Brad Paisley and Dave Chappelle. The board and staff and many volunteers and contributors at the Hippodrome Colony Historic Theater Association worked hard to preserve this architectural treasure, while reviving its role as a cultural and educational center in the community. We've assembled private money of almost $1.8 million, public funds of over $1.5 million, and we have estimated tax credit equity of over $4 million to complete the project. The theater has changed locations, appearances, and even names over the years. One thing that has remained constant are the people who love it and wish to see it flourish. As a result of a very generous contribution of $250,000, I welcome a new era for the theater. From the Hippodrome in 1919 to the Colony Cinema in 1949, it is my pleasure to introduce, for the era ahead, the People's Bank Theater. We are very excited and pleased to have Peoples come in with such a generous gift at this time. Our partnership reaches back to the very first production at this theater in 1919, when the bank served as lead sponsor at that time. You'll see over there is an indicator of one of the original programs. It's actually from 1924, but they were here in 1919 with very similar sponsorship. I think for the first, actually almost 10 years, they were on the original programs, and you can even see the original bank building that's there. So they were always a prominent supporter of the theater and continue. Therefore, it's very fitting that the theater will carry its name. With this gift in hand, the other loans we've assembled, and the anticipated New Markets tax credit in April, we believe we can start construction in June for a spring 2014 opening. I'd like to introduce People's Bank President Chuck Sobieski, who played a critical role in securing this gift and making sure that Peoples was going to be a big supporter of this project. Chuck.
Good morning. How cool is this place? How cold is this place? Thank you, hon. Thank you for your leadership in getting us here, and congratulations to the directors of the Colony Theater. I know that many of you have been at this for many multiples of the time that I have been in Marietta. At Peoples, we're proud to be a part of this theater for almost 100 years. It's part of the fabric of the markets that we serve. We strive to make the towns that we do business in better places to be. And this is just a token of it from our perspective. We're excited about the entertainment acts that Hunt mentioned, but we're also excited about an opportunity for kids to do a ballet recital or a graduation on a stage like that and create a memory for a lifetime. We hope and count on it having the impact in terms of downtown revitalization, and we think it can have an impact across the Mid-Ohio Valley. And we hope and look forward to it being something spectacular for future generations. At Peoples, we have a saying, working together, building success. We think this is a great example of the private sector, public sector, and a bunch of dedicated community folks coming together to make something great. Working together, building success. At this time, I'd like to ask Hunt to come up here and join me and unveil an initial prototype of the logo for the new theater. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Chuck. And you can see where that rendition actually, of course, embodies some of the 1919 era with the light bulb and some of that. So we're certainly excited to move forward. At this time, I would like to introduce our board president, Dan Steffen Sr., who really is the reason why we're here. Dan, of course, donated this theater property to the nonprofit in 2004. He's been a part of this longer than anybody here. Kept this basically from going the route of the wrecking ball in the parking lot, and really made this facility available for the community. So with that, I'd like to introduce our board president, Dan Steffen.
Thank you, Hunt. I hope I can, if my breath starts turning to icicles, tell me. First of all, I would like to thank all the current members of the board of the Hippodrome Colony Historical Theater Association for their dedication and commitment to seeing this project through. It was back on September 6th in the year 2000 that we had our first organization meeting out at the Holiday Inn to form a group dedicated to restoring the theater to its former glory. In fact, some of the people that were at that meeting 13 years ago are here tonight. Terry Miller, Michael Mullen, and Hunt Raleigh were all at that very first meeting 13 years ago. I can't begin to describe the many discussions and decisions that were made by the board over the years, only to say that many of these events were very momentous in carrying out the mission of this project. From the hiring of Hunt as full-time development director and his right arm Becky as his assistant, the design and architectural work from scratch, because there were no building plans for this building. It all had to be done from scratch, to the decision to engage in alternate financing sources by using tax credits funding, and which resulted in a full project, not a phased project. A year here, a year there. To get this kind of funding, it had to be the full project and open, So that's what we decided to do. We certainly owe each of them and all that participated over the years a debt of gratitude for their many unselfish hours of volunteerism. We would not be here today if it were not for the support, both financially and in volunteering, of the members of this community who have shared their commitment to see this theater up and running again as a viable contributor to the fabric of the region. A strong indication of the widespread support of the theater is the SEAT campaign, which many of you are familiar with. Almost 300 seats have been sold by people wanting to support this theater. We still have some left, so be sure you sign up before you leave. Yeah. We knew it would be a long time when we took on this project. A very wise man told me at the very beginning that it will be harder than you think, and it will take longer than you anticipate, but it will be worthwhile in the end, which is where we're coming closer and closer to that time. I would like to acknowledge the support that we've received from our elected representatives at the local, state, and federal level. From the very first Save America's Treasure grant we received in the amount of $300,000 to put a new roof on this place through the efforts of the then Senator DeWine in 2003, to the ongoing support of the Ohio Arts Council, the Ohio Historic Preservation Office, the Governor's Office of Appalachia, Buckeye Hills, and the Appalachian Regional Council, and the Ohio Department of Development Office, and the Ohio Department of Energy. The city administration and city council have been very generous in their support through the appropriation of CDBG funds and working with us on various issues concerning variances and other things that we've run into over the years. So, over the years, our local people have helped us through this maze of government with which we have had to deal. We cannot thank each of you enough. As we gather here today to acknowledge the partnership with People's Bank in furthering our mission, I would sincerely like to thank the board of directors of the bank and all the employees of People's Bank for their confidence and long-term commitment to this project. And I think they deserve a big hand. You know, Chuck has mentioned some of the things that he would like to see on stage here, the ballet, the children's programming, the things that we all have talked about over the years, and that a lot of us have very fond memories of it. I can remember Uncle Tom's Cabin and Eliza running across the ice floes right on that stage, and the elephant standing there, you know. So there's a lot of fond memories of this building and this theater that members of this community have. All of them are different, and as over the years they've imparted those memories to us, which we cherish, and we want to keep them intact so that people don't forget. And one of the things I'd like to impart as I leave is a story from one of my favorite contemporary movies, which is called The Shawshank Redemption, and maybe some of you have seen it. But I think it kind of expresses, one part of it expresses what we've been going through for the last 13 years. If you remember, Tim Robbins' character had spent 20 years in jail for a crime he didn't commit, and when he escaped, and he wrote a note back to Morgan Freeman, and that note struck me as one of the things embodies this project. And that was, he said, remember, Red, hope is a good thing, maybe the best of things, and good things never die. And that's what I hope, that this will never die, this building will never die, and it will always remain a theater for this city and region. And I hope you all feel that way, and we will be glad to see you all at the grand opening of the People's Bank Theater. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. I hope my tenure here as development director wasn't directly akin to being in jail, but not a bad analogy. At this time, I'd like to introduce Ben Keeler of Congressman Johnson's office to say some words here. Ben, if you'd like to come up and make a statement.
Thanks, Hunt. I'll cut my remarks a little short. I know that it's a little cold out there, and I don't want to rehash what has been said, but Congressman Johnson asked me to pass along his best as he could not be here today. He's in Washington, but I do want to mention his wife, Leanne, who is right there. So like I said, Congressman Johnson, he supported the reauthorization of the New Markets Tax Credit provision, which, as you know, is a very important piece of this project. Unlike other tax credit programs, the New Markets program is considered a non-permanent program, so it must be renewed each session of Congress. Most recently, on December 31st, 2012, the New Markets Tax Credit program was extended as part of the American Taxpayer Relief Act of 2012 for another 2 years. Upon completion, this project will be a centerpiece of the downtown area and provide a true link on the Putnam corridor between Front Street and the campus area of Marietta College. Just as important, this project will bring excitement and pride to the area and offers Marietta and Washington County another great reason, among those that already exist, to be a destination for people all over the region. Our office, and specifically Congressman Johnson himself, is committed to working with any federal agency and offering his assistance in order to see this project, which I left blank here, but it's now the People's Bank Theater, bring this project to fruition. We are honored to be asked to speak today and asked to play any role, adding to the already hard work and dedication that so many have already shown to this project that is so important to the people here in Marietta. And I think that's evident by the work that you guys have done and the outstanding turnout here today. So thank you, and thanks to People's Bank for a very, very generous gift. Thanks.
At this time, I'd like to open up the discussion to questions. I think Chuck and I might be able to address maybe 5 or 6 questions that anybody has. We will be available to the press after this event as well. And then anyone that would like to stick around for refreshments and individual tours, our board members, I'm sure, are happy to walk people around, but it's certainly a fascinating place, and we're happy to walk you through. So I think with that, if there are any questions for the general field. We covered it all. That's fantastic. I'd much rather walk people around. Unless there is anything, we're obviously happy to answer them in person. With that, well, we appreciate everybody's attendance, and like I say, let's join the party.